What kind of people got work in music halls is best described from one of the very earliest histories, Winkles and Champagne. Sandy Powell.
As the halls multiplied, so the need for artists increased. Mechanics, dishwashers, scrubbers, lawyers, clerks, and even actors took part in this gold rush. Amateurs who had been content to sing for the sake of taproom applause became aware that their ability to amuse might be worth anything up to £100 a week. They packed their carpet bags and trudged miles and miles wherever trial turns were given a hearing. There they would wait, lined up in the wind and rain, because there was no room for them behind the scenes.
What is the meaning of that red glow shining in the sky? Why, a house afire. Yes, a house afire. First rushing for his hatchet, which he's got near him close by, the noble fireman goes to fight the flames. So, what about him? Yes, what about him? Should he be left in the cold?
One moment, Mr. Conductor, please. Light up there. Oh, and what about you? Where do you come from? Who are you? Who sent you?
I'm the trial turn, sir.
Trial turn?
Yes, sir. I wrote a letter to the manager.
I'm the manager.
Oh, good evening.
Good evening.
I wrote you a letter and you said I was to come and do a trial turn.
Yes, but you wrote and told me that you'd got some wonderful new act, which you've gone to considerable expense to produce.
Yes, I did, sir.
Well, where is this wonderful new act?
This is it.
This?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
The Fearless Fireman and Happy Laughing Cobbler song.
The Fearless Fireman and the Happy Laughing Cobbler song?
Yes, sir.
And that's the wonderful new act, eh?
Yes, I haven't seen anybody else doing it.
No, and you never will. But where does all this considerable expense come in?
A real fireman's uniform, sir. This uniform's been in a real fire.
It looks as though it had been on one. Well, what else?
Helmet, sir, fireman's helmet.
Ah, that's been in a real fire too, hasn't it?
Yes, sir, that's been in a real fire too.
And some of it's still in the fire from the look of it.
But it goes on my head all right, sir.
Oh, it goes on that splendidly. Well, what else have you got in this costly production?
A ladder.
Now, that ought to be on the fire.
Yes, sir, but it might burn.
It would. I say it would.
It is.
The whole act must have cost you a fortune.
Well, I gave 8 shillings for the ladder, sir, and 1 and 9 for this hatchet, and I changed a fender and a set of vases for the helmet.
And what did you give for the uniform? A jam jar?
No, sir, an aspidestra.
An aspidestra?
Yes.
Your home must have suffered for this. But what's the idea of it all? Have you ever been a fireman?
No, sir, I've sat next to one.
And I suppose he gave you the inspiration.
He gave me the helmet.
And what's this jolly laughing cobbler song business all about?
It's a song all about a cobbler who's always happy and laughing and jolly, and he lets the world go round, and round it goes, and he's always happy, laughing and jolly.
Well, let's hear some of it. This ought to be good.
Yes, the laughing cobbler song. Laughing all the day. I laugh and I cobble, ho ho, ha ha. Always bright, never grey, should trouble overtake me, as trouble sometimes may. I laugh, hi, no, oh, ah, he, oh, yeah, I laugh, and trouble flies away. See, sir, I went and put in a I where I should have said oh, but you can see the idea of it. He's always happy, laughing and jolly, and trouble goes away from him.
And comes to you.
Yes.
But you know, I can't tell whether you were laughing or crying. What were you doing?
I was laughing.
Then I hope I never see you cry.
No, I won't, sir.
Don't. You always be your own bright, cheery, smiling self.
Yes, I don't believe in being miserable. I always say we're here today and gone tomorrow.
Yes, but you'll go tonight if you give us any more of these jolly laughing cobbler songs.
Of course, when I sing that song, sir, I'm supposed to be cobbling, and I really ought to have a boot.
Oh, you'll get a boot, all right. But what were you before you embarked on this perilous venture?
A film actor, sir.
Film actor?
Yes, sir.
Then you'd better go back to the films. You've got a film face.
a film face, then you think I ought to sort of like sell me face over to the films.
Sell it. Give it to them, and that ladder as well.
But aren't you going to engage me, sir?
What, to do this?
Yes, sir.
Certainly not. You'd ruin the whole program.
Ruin the old program, sir.
Kill it.
Kill it.
Absolutely.
And I thought I'd got such a good act. Such a good act.
Here, one moment. Come back, sunshine. What else can you do?
Funny stories.
Funny stories?
Yes,
You
sir.
know, you get worse. Tell us one. And mind, it's funny.
Yes, funny stories. A Scotchman and an Irishman were one day having a walk along a street, side by side, together. It was on a Monday they were walking, no Wednesday, no Saturday.
It was during the week.
Yes, it was, one day of the week. And as they was walking along, they suddenly came to a big shop window with glass all over it. And the Scotchman, he turned to have a look in the window as he wanted to see in it. And the Irishman, he looked on the other side of the road. And on the other side of the road was a very big tree, very high and tall, with leaves and branches sticking out all over it. It was growing there. And when he saw the tree, he turned to the Scotchman and he said, "Here, Murphy," he said, "if that big tree was to fall into that window and break it, as it would if it did," he said, "what would the window go and say to the tree?" Yes. "Oh, this is good." Then said the Scotchman to the Irishman, "Well, I don't know, Sandy. Tell me, what would it say?" Then said the Irishman, "Why, the window would go and say, enormous."
Enormous?
Yes, sir. Enormous. That's what it... No, take that back. Tremendous. Yes, tremendous. It wouldn't say enormous. Well, that's the end of that one. Now, another very funny story.
That's sufficient. Now, I'll give you just one more chance. What else can you do?
Oh, a coon song.
Coon song?
Yes, sir. I sing those songs about going back to places.
Going back to places?
Yes, going back to Dixie and going back to Alabama.
We've had enough of those.
Yes, I've written a coon song myself.
You've written one.
Yes, and I don't go back in the one I've written.
Don't you?
No, I remain stationary where I am.
What's this coon song called?
It's called Dinah, Come and Hold My Hand.
Dinah, come and hold your hand.
Yes, sir.
Sounds pathetic. Let's hear some of it.
Yes, sir. No, lumpa-diddly-diddly-diddly-om-bum-bay, diddly-diddly-om-bum-bay.
What on earth is that supposed to be?
Well, I'm supposed to be light-hearted.
Light-headed, I should say. Get on with it.
Yes. Oh, lumpa-diddly-diddly.
That's enough of that. The song.
Yes, the song. Oh, why am I waiting in the moonlight? Oh, Dinah, come and hold my hand. Why am I waiting in the moonlight? Oh, Dinah, come and hold my hand. When the moon do brightly shine, then I'll see that gal of mine. No, I won't. Yes, I will.
Make up your mind about it. You either see her or you don't see her.
I do see her.
Good.
Oh, Dinah, come and hold my hand. Oh, the chorus now. It's my delight from morn till night to dance among the poppies and the corn. Well, dance a bit there. For it's my delight from morn till night. Oh, Dinah, come and hold my hand. I do a bit of a dance there, which I've forgotten.
Oh, have you? Well, what happens after that?
Well, I haven't thought that out yet, but something's bound to happen.
Oh, something will happen, all right. What's that ooh business all about?
Making whoopee.
What's the end of all this?
Oh, I've got a good end to this. In the end, Dinah comes out and holds me hand.
Does she?
Yes, and she says to me, "Honey, I am here," and I look at her with love light in me eyes, and I say, "Atta boy."
Atta boy?
Yes, and that's the end.
It certainly is. It's awful. Atrocious.
Atrocious.
Yes.
And the fireman.
Oh, that's worse still.
But, sir...
Well, what now?
Do you want a sword swallower?
Sword swallower? No!
The interesting thing about Horace Kenny performing his music hall trial turn is that the skit, which is so accurate, was not introduced until pretty well after music hall was already finished. He first did it in about 1928, when music hall had become variety. No one except the likes of Stanley Holloway or Ted Ray can describe the subtleties of difference between the two, except perhaps that variety, which still lingers on in many ways, especially in its transfer to situation comedies on British television, became more of the legitimate theatre sort of enterprise, what the Tivoli circuit in Australia lived on for many years. While music hall remained what it was, entertainment in a glorified half-pub, half-theatre atmosphere, fairly intimate and convivial, only until about World War I suppose. But in Horace Kenny just now, you can hear the kind of hesitant obstinacy which became the hallmark of one of the late Jack Davies' most admired characterizations. No, there's nothing new under the sun in the entertainment business, only infinite variations on the few well-tried themes of song and dance, original comedy turns, and of course the straight-out bravura of the many-faceted entertainer. Someone like Albert Whelan. He was another Australian who hit the halls in London in the late 90s after a pretty solid seasoning on the goldfields at Kalgoorlie and Coolgardie. He had an act that combined some very fine whistling, some soft shoe and monologue, with some pretty presentable singing.
On the Bowery there's a whistling boy, bright and gay, he fills the world with joy. Always whistling to while the time away, from the early morning to the close of day. Whistles all the questions that he has to say in this simple, easy-going way. Policeman Murphy met his pretty dear. The boy sneaked up and whistled in his ear. Policeman grabbed him and took him off to jail. The judge said, sing, sing, put him on bail. But the Bowery boy, his nerve, it did not fail. As he went, he whistled like a gale.
What, of course, made Albert Whelan billed as the Australian entertainer, as if he were expected at some moment to leap from a kangaroo's pouch, unique was the true originality of his material, though often woven around some traditional melody or popular dance tune of the day.
As a matter of fact, the next is a short recitation written by a very tall man with a long mustache, curled at both ends. You see, once there was a desert, and in it there were 3 trees. There, there, and there. And a pool of water there. A little antelope trips across the desert and begins drinking at the pool of water there, surrounded by the 3 trees there, there, and there. A lion's roar is heard in the distance. But the little antelope just goes on drinking at the pool of water there, surrounded by the 3 trees there, there, and there. The lion's roar is heard nearer. And with a crash, he bounds to the desert. The little antelope, still drinking at the pool of water there, surrounded by the 3 trees there, there, and there, just turns his head, then scampers away to safety. The lion, cheated of his prey, uses bad language and says, then goes back to the bosom of his family. Of course, the 3 trees are still there, there, and there, and the pool of water there, and there is silence once more in the desert. There. Now just give me my hat, my coat, and my gloves, will you? Thank you.
Back to the new recruits to the halls I was talking about earlier, and with what fear and trembling they faced that raucous mob on the other side of the footlights. Ted Ray recounts one such incident from Winkles and Champagne, with some assistance from George Jackley and Leslie Cerrone, while Stanley Holloway dwells on the more perilous hazards likely to come from the hall itself.
Now, I'm not a particularly nervous person, but directly I stepped upon the stage and felt that it was a case of now or never, every drop of blood in my body seemed to freeze. The opening part of the turn we had arranged consisted of our walking backwards and forwards across the stage to a lively tune, each kicking over the other's head. But at each attempt, I caught my partner a violent buffet in the ear, until that member and his face grew as red with pain and boiling indignation as were the faces of the audience through the roars of laughter which ensued. Last, the seemingly endless ordeal came to a close. At the final bang of the big drum, each of us disappeared, posterior first, into a barrel. But, calamity of calamities, our disappearance was so surprisingly complete that we found ourselves quite hidden from view and so firmly stuck that it was utterly impossible to move hand or foot.
Oh, Excelsior! There is a train that goes and great life of a beautiful Chile. Rain from above, serene and afar, her voice felt like a fallen star. Excelsior, 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 Excelsior,
If not stunned by a bottle while striving to recover from stage fright, he might get to the end of the first verse. Catcalls, booing, old boots, and a dead cat might come his way. In industrial areas, iron rivets were usually flung.
Some pals of mine were going for the day for a bit of a blowout Chingford way. Was a go with the breeze along the route, and a first-class prize for the best turnout. They came in carts and wagonettes as well, and which looked best it was very hard to tell. Says Brown, give the prize now, for we cannot wait. Stop, here comes Ginger, and it's not too late. Then up I came with my little lot, and the lads yelled out hooray. Some chairs for my pals and some cushions for the gals, and the arthrites looked all gay. There were 14 of us and we all had whips, and the missus she had hold of the brake. I put them all to bed for everybody's bed, and my lot took the cake. When we got down, 'twas beautiful and warm. We quite took the hotel there by storm. With swings and booze and coconut shies, then we all went in for the swearing prize. Each lot just came up, pulled up in a row, and one by one we all then had to go. And oh, the language, how the beauties swore! Straight Brown, hold on, the business one lot more. Then up I came with my little lot, and the air wind blew for miles. The trees all shook, and the copper took his hook, and down came all the tiles. The donkeys cocked their tails and did a guy, and brayed till their hearts would break. I asked Big Dan, and he told everyone that my lot took the cake. For tea at 6 o'clock we all prepared, and we didn't care how the people stared. The ladies stood in the gigs and flies, and the next event was the beauty prize. But what with the dust and all their dresses spoiled, the beauties all looked just a little soiled. They tried to look sober and smiled all serene, with Smith calls out now, which is the queen. Then up I came with my little lot, and says I, this can't be matched. She fell off a boat, and a funny boat is broke, and her vocals a little bit scratched. She's 16 stone, and it's simply been the road, and the colour on her cheeks is fake. She's falling round the car, then Brown began to laugh, and my lot took the cake.
That was Herbert Campbell, a famous pantomime partner to Dan Leno at the turn of the century, and recorded in 1903. He was also a popular musical artist, with one of those typically south of the Thames ditties you've just heard, rich in humour and verging on the vulgar. Up I came with my little lot. Australia's Florrie Ford became the mistress of the chorus songs in the music halls. It's said that she made famous more songs than any other artist of her day. Certainly she was quick to spot good material, and at the turn of the century, the songs seemed to be emerging from Victorian stiltedness, the parlour sort of song, towards a more popular style of rhythm and melody. And Florrie, certainly, with her rich, powerful voice, her direct and winning way with the audience, was just the girl to sing them.
Willie Fitzgibbons, who used to sell ribbons and stood up all day on his feet, grew very spoony on Madeline Mooney, who'd rather be dancing than eat. Each evening she'd tag him to some dance hall, drag him, and when the band started to play, she'd up like a silly and grab tired Willie, steer him on the floor, and she'd say, waltz me around again, Willie, around and round and round. The music is dreamy, it's peaches and creamy, oh, don't let my feet touch the ground. I feel like a ship on an ocean of joy, I just want to holler out loud, ship ahoy, oh, waltz me around again, Willie, around and Here was a dry goods cashier, at his desk he would sit all the day, till his doctor advised him to start exercising, or else he would soon fade away. One night this poor loony met Madeline Mooney Fitzgibbons and shouted with joy, "She's a good health regainer, you've got a great trainer, just wait till she hollers, my boy. Waltz me around again, Willie, around and round and round. The music is dreamy, it's peaches and creamy, oh don't let my feet touch the ground. I feel like a ship on an ocean of joy, I just want to holler out loud, shiv-ahoy. Oh, waltz me around again, Willie, around and round and round. Waltz me around again, Willie, around and round and round. The music is dreamy, it's peaches and creamy, oh don't let my feet touch the ground. I feel like a ship on an ocean of joy, I just want to holler out loud, ship-ahoy. Oh, waltz me around again, Willie, around, around, around.
And so the pub turned a music hall. In the early 1900s, it was to become more and more identified with the theatre. But for the last decade of the 19th century, it hung halfway between. We'll find the naughty 90s coming really into their own next time we meet. This is Don Taylor in London.